Water on Venus, Earth, and Mars. Venus, Earth, and Mars all are approximately the same distance from the Sun, are predicted to have formed out of the same material, and had approximately the same initial temperatures 4.6 billion years ago. Long ago, these three planets probably had moderate enough temperatures and water suitable for life. However, Venus is now much too hot, while Mars is too cold, with no water found on both. What happened to these two planets, and where all the water has gone, are major puzzles for planetary scientists. Scientists are not certain if Venus had large amounts of water like Earth after it formed, or if it has always been dry. In the wet scenario, Venus was originally cooler than what it is now, and it had a greater abundance of water several billion years ago. Also, most of its carbon dioxide was locked up in the rocks. Because Venus was slightly closer to the Sun than the Earth, its water never liquefied and remained in the atmosphere. Ultraviolet light from the Sun then broke down the water vapor in the atmosphere into hydrogen and oxygen. The light hydrogen atoms escaped into space, carried off by the solar wind, while the oxygen atoms reacted with minerals in the crust. The carbon dioxide formed during the reaction began to heat up the planet in the greenhouse heating process. As Venus heated up, some of the carbon dioxide in the rocks was baked out. This added even more carbon dioxide to the atmosphere and further enhanced the greenhouse heating, which baked more carbon dioxide out of the rocks, as well as any water. And a runaway positive feedback loop process occurred. This huge and continuous greenhouse effect finally raised Venus's surface temperature to a point where the oceans boiled away entirely. As for our mother planet Earth, since it is farther from the Sun than Venus, most of its water was liquid from the beginning. The rest of its water vapor works with carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to create a small greenhouse effect, raising temperature about 34 degrees Celsius. This natural greenhouse effect, in turn, makes it warm enough on the surface for liquid water to exist. Besides making life possible, the liquid water also helps to keep the amount of atmospheric carbon dioxide from getting too high. The temperature on Earth can remain generally stable because of a negative feedback process that cools the Earth if it gets too hot and warms the Earth if it gets too cool. The rate that carbon dioxide is removed from the atmosphere depends on the temperature, in such that the higher the temperature, the higher the rate that carbon dioxide is removed. If the Earth warms up, there will be more of evaporation and rainfall, resulting in a greater removal of atmospheric carbon dioxide. The reduced atmospheric carbon dioxide leads to a weakened greenhouse effect that counteracts the initial warming and cools the Earth back down. If the Earth cools off, the rainfall decreases, resulting in less removal of atmospheric carbon dioxide. The atmospheric carbon dioxide level will build back up because of the outgassing of volcanoes. A strengthened greenhouse effect counteracts the initial cooling and heats the Earth back up. Contrary to what happened to Venus, Mars had a reverse greenhouse effect, called a runaway refrigerator. Since Mars was slightly farther away from Sun than the Earth, its initial temperature was lower. This meant that all water vapor condensed to form a liquid water layer on the surface. Gaseous carbon dioxide dissolves in liquid water and can then be chemically combined with rocks. This would have happened on Mars long ago. The removal of some of the carbon dioxide caused a temperature drop further from the reduced greenhouse effect, which caused more water vapor to condense, leading to more removal of atmospheric carbon dioxide and more cooling, and so on. This positive feedback process finally froze the planet and left Mars now frozen water in a permafrost layer below the surface. Many evidence has proved the existence of running liquid water on Mars in its past. Some geologic features look very much like the river drainage system on Earth, and other features points to huge floods. The Mars Pathfinder studied Martian rocks in the summer of 1997 and found some rocks are conglomerates, rocks made of pebbles cemented together in sand, that require flowing water to form. Abundant sand also points to widespread water long ago.